Mark, man.
Cool.
Welcome to the show, man.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
So we've been having a pretty crazy weekend, huh?
Oh my gosh, the craziest. There's prices, man. They're all over the place.
So what happened? Like, what caused the prices to?
What I think happened is China decided to come out and say no more ICOs, pretty much. They won't allow exchanges to host ICO tokens anymore, essentially blocking out all investors from China.
So what do you think they did that?
Why did they do that?
Yeah.
I think because they wanted to buy more Bitcoin, obviously.
Funny you bring that up. I was just having a conversation with somebody, and they were first like, "Oh my God, the Chinese government is against blockchain technologies," and I'm like, "I believe in the manifesto of human beings are greedy."
Yeah, definitely.
That's my manifesto.
China's definitely the epitome of that too, right now.
I'm a firm believer in that. That's one rule I can attest by, right? Regardless of who you are and what nation you are. So I'm like, they just did a classical test.
Yeah, and they've done it before.
They've done it before.
They've done it, I think, once every year pretty much. They ban Bitcoin or blockchain or some other buzzword of the year.
So, but the ban wasn't necessarily a ban on ICOs. It was a ban on exchanges, right? That can...
Yeah, well, they're enacting the ban through controlling the exchanges.
Yes.
Because the exchanges are obviously the weakest point in the whole ecosystem of cryptocurrency.
So I think what they said it was the exchanges aren't allowed to host ICOs.
Yeah. And
the exchanges that raised money from Chinese investors had to give the money back.
Yeah. Do you think they'll give the money back?
I have no idea. It's China. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting. And because of that, we've had a 20% decline in prices in like 2 days or something.
It's funny watching on social media, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, or Reddit.
All the newcomers?
Yeah, the paranoia. Like literally everyone's like, I told you so.
Everyone thinks this is the end of Bitcoin. Obviously, this is it. I should cash out because it's dead. I haven't seen anyone, no suicide hotline numbers up yet, so that's always good.
I was dancing, man. Christmas came early.
You bought, obviously, then.
Yeah.
It's definitely a good sale, if you believe in it, that is.
Well, for me, it was a great sign of how fast it rebounded.
Yeah. I feel now that there's so much more infrastructure, back in 2013, there was one exchange that went down. That one exchange held 90% of all the volume.
Yeah.
And then it took a year to recover. I feel like that's completely gone now. And now that there's so many more entry points that... it recovers so much faster.
Like you and I were talking before this, I was surprised for two things. I was surprised, A, how fast Ethereum rebounded and it held the price. And B, I was surprised how much Bitcoin Cash held. Yeah,
I'm surprised Bitcoin Cash is holding well, even with very little wallet support still. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure there's wallets coming, but people still seem to believe in it. What's going on with the miners in Bitcoin Cash?
Well, that's a funny, I won't say funny, but interesting part, because if you look at it, majority of the miners in China.
Okay, for everything.
For Bitcoin Cash.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so this happened with the Chinese news. The miners are in China with Bitcoin Cash. So there's obviously a strategical play for profiteering.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's why I always tell people is one thing you can always count on is greed of a human being. So, talking about the rebound and talking about cryptocurrency, it was a great also sign to show people that majority of the tokens, this ICO hype that we're in, is first of all hype.
Yeah,
it's a complete hype on something that doesn't have sustenance yet. I'm not against ICOs.
No.
I think they're revolutionary. I think we're going to have many different variations of it. Whether it's an ICO for rev share, ICO for equity, ICO for let's say loyalty points, reputation systems. But what people forget right now, and obviously people get caught up in things, willful blindness, one of the 25 cognitive biases, is the fact that we're still in the early ages where the technology itself, Bitcoin itself, Ethereum itself, we can't handle the necessary transaction volumes, the necessary scaling mechanisms. Yeah. Like, for example, right now, what is it, 15 transactions?
For Ethereum.
For Ethereum.
Yeah.
And then that cuts in half when you have a token. So that's 7 transactions.
And you have to think all these ICOs are basically trying to build YouTube on the internet in the early 90s.
Yes.
And it's just their promises may be great and they may sound great.
Yes.
And in theory they may be great, but the way the technology works right now is none of them are feasible.
Well, I tell people, 3 things you got to look for. Number 1, you got to look for the token utility. What does that token do?
Yeah.
And I like to break it down into this aspect. If I take that token out from the business model, does your business model fall apart? Not fall apart like, let me do a Jenga where I choose.
Or does the token no longer do anything?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm a firm believer, like if I take Ether out of Ethereum, it falls apart.
Yeah.
If I take Bitcoin out of Bitcoin, it falls apart,
Yeah.
obviously, right? But literally all these ICOs, you take out the token, it still can function without the token. There's no utility of the token whatsoever.
There's no added value.
No. And then as an investor too, is like, and people confuse this, when I'm investing in decentralized technology like Bitcoin, that's not a token.
No, that's a decentralized asset.
Yes.
Yeah, all these ICOs, they're all centralized. They're all controlled by some entity that can print more out whenever they want. It's basically no different than fiat at that point.
Exactly. And then number two, we look at the actual cryptoeconomics.
Yeah.
Like 99.99% of them don't actually spend time to do their due diligence because it's difficult.
Well, there's zero system in place in most of these ICOs to actually keep the system running by itself. Like if the devs were to just drop the project or were to pass away, the project would die.
Yep.
With Bitcoin, if the devs were to drop the project, Bitcoin would continue to move on. It wouldn't care at all. It would basically just honey badger it and keep going.
Yes.
And that's the beautiful thing about it.
Well, that's another, you just touched on it, the fact with devs. Like, majority of these ICOs, we were just talking about a funny ICO service before this, right? It's like, press a button, new ICO. It's like an ICO.
It's just a stamp.
It's a factory.
Yeah, it's just a stamping machine.
Unlimited tokens. People complain about the central fucking banking system.
Yeah.
Well, we got unlimited tokens.
Oh, I know.
The
ICO market is way worse than central banking right now.
Fuck me, man. It's insane. So you got no devs. No devs that really know this.
Yeah.
And most people, what they're doing, they're literally copying pasting, going open source code, whether that's Ethereum, or there's BitShares, or whatever it may be, and literally copying, pasting, finding some like Mickey Mouse people over like overseas, and like, hey guys, here's our new ICO.
Yeah, here's an idea I have. I haven't made it yet, but let's put out a token anyways, and we'll try and make it later.
Yeah. And then you got the third problem is security. I can't tell you how many phishing scams are happening right now.
Oh my gosh,
how many wallets are being hacked.
Or even fake wallets that are being put out on app stores.
Yeah.
Stuff like that that are branded as something else.
You know what's happening even right now? It's just crazy. The hackers, because it's just bad security protocol, the hackers aren't even hacking anything. They're just hacking the main website that has the addresses for you to send.
Oh yeah, and then they're just changing the one address.
Yeah. So they're like, yeah, just send it to me instead. So they're not even hacking the wallet.
It's like, yeah, it's not impressive at hacking at all. They're just going into the website. They're changing one address.
Like there's one ICO a couple of weeks ago. They built it on like a Wix page or something like that, right? And I don't know what password they used. They got into the Wix page and just changed the fucking address.
That's so crazy.
And they're hacking Slack channels. They're hacking Telegram channels because they have all the addresses.
Yeah. I've gotten a couple Slack channel messages and stuff like that from phishing.
So what's your take right now? Like, you think we're going to be in this for a little bit longer period? This like high.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think it'll take a few big projects to burn, to crash and burn before people realize they're not buying anything with ICOs. They're not buying equity. They're not buying a product that does something. They're literally just buying nothing. So I think once we see the first couple investors get burned from that, which I don't think has really happened yet.
Not yet, no.
People will continue to throw money at it.
Yeah.
Because they think it's just an endless way to get
So
money.
how do you think that burn's going to look like? It's going to be just when ICO's like, hey, we dried up, we have no more money? Or
That might be. I was thinking that this crash might cause something, or at least I was hoping this crash would cause something, because I know there's some ICOs that took the Ethereum that was given to them, and they like diversified it across the crypto market. For like 2 years, it's locked in the crypto market.
Yeah.
And what happens if the market goes down during those 2 years? Like their whole business is screwed.
The main target actually these days is hackers going after individual people.
Yeah.
So social engineering their cell carrier. What's the one in the United States? It's like Verizon or something.
Oh, really? Because again, I know someone here whose phone number was taken and then spoofed, and then because of that, the person who took their phone number was able to two-factor into their Gmail account, their Facebook account, and they actually held it hostage for Bitcoin.
Shut up.
Yeah, I'm dead serious.
So you had to pay?
I think my buddy just said no, screw off, because his accounts just weren't worth it to him.
Yeah.
But it's something that does happen, so I'm sure there's lots of individual stories we just don't hear about.
Did you see
of all these little interesting hacks?
The big Reddit thread where the dude was like on a Jax wallet or something?
Oh, yeah, the Ethereum.
Mil?
Yeah, like 900 Ethereum or something.
Well, first of all, I don't know why the fuck's he keeping 900 on a mobile wallet.
I know. Yeah, I've seen people with a lot on their mobile wallets. And like a good person who has really good talks about this is John McAfee.
Yes.
Because he is like, they can easily screenshot your page and they know how much your balance is. They can get a keylogger on your phone. They know the password, the spending password, and then you're gone. Your stuff's gone then.
What's your security opinion on, say, like Authy or like Google Authenticator?
I've never used Authy, but Google Authenticator I think is way better than using your phone number per se.
100%.
Just if you lose it, it's a hassle and a half.
Yeah.
But that's good.
I don't mind Quadriga's security system. So they have both. They have, you need to get the code for email verification.
Okay.
And you need to do Google Auth.
Really? I feel like with Google Auth, there's no point to do email. But maybe that's just me personally.
Well, maybe if they have your phone. And
Oh, that's true. That's a good point.
The issue with Google authentication, though, a lot of people don't look into, if you lose your phone, if you haven't backed up your code.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a hassle. You have to. I know with Bitfinex, because that's the exchange I have experience with. If you lose your two-factor, you have to send them ID, and then your account's frozen for like 5 days, and you have to just jump through hoops to get.
So one of my recommendations for people who constantly use, let's say, an exchange for various reasons, have one phone at your house that just has that Google Auth.
Oh, that's a good idea.
A burner phone, whatever.
Yeah,
phone.
yeah.
Don't actually carry that.
Even phone. Like no SIM card, only connected to Wi-Fi.
Only Wi-Fi just for those two-step verification.
And then if you want to take it a step further, save the backups for the two-factor on a USB stick.
That's right.
That takes it a step further. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, as opposed to like this one phone is a lifeline.
Or anyone who really wants to keep crypto on their phone, a good thing to do is install the wallet, save the seed, send the coins, delete the wallet. It's essentially cold storage at that point. Then when you want to spend the coins, you re-download the wallet.
What's your take on cold? I love cold storage.
Well, who doesn't? It's safer than a bank. I love it. I love having a piece of paper on my wall, and I'm like, this paper is worth X amount of dollars today. It's worth X amount of dollars tomorrow.
When I tell people that you can literally print $1 million on an 8x11 piece of paper, their mind is fucking.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then I love the idea too of like brain wallets. And just remembering the 12 words, and those 12 words could be linked to millions and millions of dollars. Yeah. And you can walk across borders and no one has a clue.
So, we're talking about ICOs, we're talking about how, they do have a future. They're going to definitely represent amazing opportunities for people in the future.
For sure.
But the technology is not there yet.
Yeah.
We need years. Like, for example, Bitcoin needs to get Lightning Network. We need to figure out how to scale it for millions of users. Ethereum needs to go through their proof of stake, through Plasma, through sharding. Monero needs to scale. All these other platforms, EOS promises stuff. Tesla's,
all these magical solutions to all these problems.
And at the most, people, a couple of transactions are happening per second. So we're a while away before we actually start seeing Apple level apps.
Oh, for sure.
Where there's literally millions of users per second using a specific platform.
Andreas Antonopoulos has a really good point where he says it took 20 years from email being invented to where your grandmother needed Wi-Fi and an iPad so she could send an email like that.
20 years.
20 years. So Bitcoin's been around for like 7, 8 now.
7, 8,
so we'll see where it gets to.
Do you have any exciting projects you're looking at lately?
No.
Or developments in the space?
I'm just trying to build businesses around Monero right now, trying to extract as much Monero from people.
You're super bullish on that.
Yeah, I love me some Monero.
So what's so special about Monero?
Monero, I feel, is the most cash-like digital currency in the sense that I give you a Monero, you have no idea where that Monero's come from, and you have no idea. I have no idea where that Monero's going.
What's the major difference between, and we don't have to go super in-depth, but what's the major difference between Monero and Bitcoin?
Bitcoin, if you sent me Bitcoin, I could look back at that history of that Bitcoin and I could see where you got it from, where that person got it from. I could see your entire net worth in theory.
Because it's all open.
Because it's all connected and all open. And with Monero, I send you Monero, you don't even see the address that sent you that Monero.
And this is based on
it's completely private.
Ring signatures.
There's a couple different things. The way the sender's hidden, the way the transaction value's hidden, the way the receivers, they're all 3 different things. The way the value's hidden is the ring signature where it pulls 5 different random ones or 6 or whatever number you specify. And then it just jumbles them all up together. Which just obfuscates it all.
And the main major use cases right now are people like Venezuela are using it, people in Russia.
Yeah, I read a really good post of someone who was starting to mine Monero in Venezuela, and because the government can't track them down because of the anonymity of it, it's improved their life drastically.
Yeah, Venezuela's crazy.
People
are literally going into zoos right now to find food.
To find food? I heard that they were hunting squirrels and stuff a while back. It's
socialism.
Crazy.
There's socialism.
I know. It's crazy. But I'm hoping that, so I think Monero could definitely become what Bitcoin wanted to be. I think Bitcoin has gone a little off track now with all the infighting. Monero schedules hard forks, so there's less infighting.
What I like about Monero too is, when you go on Stack Exchange or the GitHub, there's an active, robust community.
Yeah, and they're very helpful.
Yeah, and I like they have like their PhD programs.
Yeah.
You see that where in the Monero community, you can actually sponsor and help somebody that wants to spend a year doing research on a protocol?
Yeah, so they have a forum funding system.
Yeah.
Where people can put up proposals and people can donate to them.
Yeah.
And they have a couple PhD students. I think one of them is actually based in Toronto, one or two of them. And yeah, they get paid like 60 grand a year in Monero to just research math and find holes in Monero if they can.
Because they're actually, you know, give them credit when credit is due. They're one of the few communities out there who are actually spending time and not getting caught up in the hype.
Yeah.
They're actually looking at how do we actually build a legitimate mathematical model
Mm-hmm.
that is scalable, to make sense. But from the root of it, we're not adding security on top of it. Security is built in it.
Yeah, it's from the very beginning.
From the beginning.
The history of Monero is really cool. The history of Monero started, I think it was in 2013. This coin called Bytecoin was announced. And it was just announced anonymously. No one knows who made it.
Yeah.
But it was mined for 2 years before it was announced. So everyone thought that was a little sketchy. So then a small group of people decided to fork that and make BitMonero. And then they took BitMonero, and the lead dev on BitMonero was apparently a huge douchebag. And so literally the other devs and the community are all like, screw you. They forked the project away from him, and now we have Monero.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that's the guy, who's the main guy, Ricardo?
Yeah, Ricardo Spignani, or Fluffy Pony is his name.
Pony,
yeah. And he's a cool guy because he's been telling people for years, don't buy Monero.
I know.
Don't buy Monero. And he jokes that he's going to exit scam in 2022 or something. Yeah, like they don't take it seriously. It's not a business. It's not a corporation.
So for mining, what do you do for Monero?
GPUs.
GPUs?
Yeah, just GPUs. Although Monero's emission curve is really interesting because Bitcoin's is like steps every 4 years it cuts in half.
Yep.
Monero's, I don't know how to describe it, but it basically goes up like this, and then 1 year it like curtails off.
Okay.
And it stays 0.3 forever.
Forever?
Forever, yeah. It's got a forever inflation rate, but it's very small.
Interesting.
And they actually use that 0.3 to punish miners if they make a block that's too big or too small because they have a dynamic block size.
What is the cap for Monero being mined?
It's around 20 million, but then again, that 0.3 goes on forever. Yeah.
The biggest issue right now for Monero for me, I love it. I started buying it where it was much cheaper than that. I've been quite bullish for a while. The issue for me right now for new people coming in is for some people find it difficult to purchase.
Yes, definitely.
And B, storage.
Yeah, it's Monero is where Bitcoin was back in like 2012, 2013. In the sense it's only used on darknets, in the sense that there's no good wallets for it.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Hopefully
they're coming out in the next couple months, hopefully. But they're definitely being worked on. But that's because Monero is a whole new code base, and I'm assuming, because I don't have enough experience, that the anonymity factors and having to work from a remote node make it very difficult to program on top of. But I don't know a lot about that side of it.
Cool. Any last thoughts?
No, just don't sell your coins on dips.
Hold, baby.
Don't panic.
And buy on the dips.
Yeah, buy on the dips. That's the advice.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark.
No problem. Thanks a lot.
Take care.